Unfortunately, a lot of people come to us and they suspect or they know that their spouse is cheating on them. Perhaps they've been cheating on them for many years, and they're rightly angry. And they want their pound of flesh. And sometimes people come in and they think they're going to get a lot more than their share of the assets as a result. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Unfortunately, it's really common in divorces that people have been cheating. It's not how I live my life, but it's something that we see in the divorce world, of course, and the judges see it all the time. So the only time that it's going to have an impact on the divorce settlement is when the cheating has led to what we call legally as a wasteful dissipation. I had a case many years ago where there was reason to have the husband followed. My client suspected that he was spending a lot of money cheating, and it turned out that he was. And we found him in Manhattan, and every day he would go, I think it was to a massage parlor, and there was an ATM in that building, and he would take out a lot of cash. And we were able to show that he was taking out the cash. And that money that he was spending on this affair, we were able to convince the judge that that was what's known as a wasteful dissipation. And my client got a significant amount of money to pay her back for that, to make her whole. Had she known about it, it would have been a different story. She suspected it. She didn't approve of the behavior. She certainly didn't give him permission to do this. And so that's where it has an impact. But other than that wasteful dissipation, we had another case where the husband had another house. So he actually had bought a house for his girlfriend, and that too was a wasteful dissipation because my client didn't know about it. We were able to recoup that money, her share of that money, and she got that. But other than that, we don't see it having a big impact on a divorce case. Beyond the finances, we also have people will come in sometimes and they'll think that, hey, my spouse has been cheating. Doesn't that mean that I get custody? And doesn't that mean that him or her should not see the children? Again, fortunately or unfortunately, however you may view it, the answer to that is no. It's not going to have an impact on custody or access unless it's truly egregious. Unless we have a situation where, mommy is taking, the 10-year-old to her boyfriend's house, where she's clearly, it's clearly her boyfriend. They're clearly, having intimate relationships. In those cases, of course, it goes to, a lack of judgment that is negatively impacting the children. And in those cases, it's going to have an impact. But other than that, no. When I was a young lawyer, and really, I think for the first 20 or so years of my practice, New York required fault. And on occasion, we would actually have what's known as a grounds trial. And somebody would allege adultery or would allege cruel and inhuman treatment. And we would have to prove that, unless the other side, tacitly consented, unless they didn't put up an opposition. That's no longer the case in New York. We finally joined the other 49 states, and we have a form of no-fault divorce. And so, in my strong opinion, it never makes sense to allege the other grounds, which still exists. I think in the last 2 years, I've seen maybe a half a dozen times that other attorneys have tried that they thought that it was smart to serve my client with a summons and complaint, with a lawsuit where they allege that my client's been having an affair. Again, no judge is impressed by that. I find that when you start a case that way, all you're doing, you're not showing, the lawyer's not showing how strong they are. They're just stirring the emotions up. I always say the more the emotions are stirred up, the uglier the case is going to be. That means that you're going to pay your lawyers more money. It doesn't mean that it's going to help you. Quite frankly, it's going to hurt you. And if you have children involved, the uglier that divorce is, I have no doubt that it's going to hurt your children as well. And so we strongly dissuade our clients from ever taking a case based on grounds other than really going for what we consider a no-fault divorce. Look, there are times, if we're in a really ugly litigated case, particularly if we're fighting over custody, over access, is it going to come up? The affairs, definitely. And, judges are human beings, and, maybe it will bias the judge in your favor or, against your spouse. But as a general rule, no point in addressing that. If we have a pretty straightforward case, what I tell our clients is, I hear you. This is something to be worked out in therapy. This is not something to be worked out in the divorce attorney's office. If you're looking for retribution, if you're looking for that type of justice, you're in the wrong place. No lawyer can get that for you. Or a lawyer may be able to make you feel good by fighting, but at the end of the day, that's just going to cost you a lot of money and do a lot more emotional harm than what's already been done. Look, if you're in a situation where your spouse has been cheating on you, or you suspect your spouse has been cheating on you, and you're contemplating a divorce, call us. Please, I would urge you, do not take that emotion and decide that you want to fight and you want to destroy your spouse. That's understandable. Work that out in your therapist's office. But from a legal standpoint, give us a call. Let us talk you through it. We've navigated these waters countless times, and we're certainly happy. I always hate using that word, but we're very comfortable in helping you and grateful to help you through this time in your life.